So this is the carrier, goes inside there, the sacrificial piece. And then your duocone seal goes inside this, and there's a little lip on there to keep it from rolling out. So I have wire brushed the splines, cleaned up the bore good in there, got everything cleaned up. So now we're ready to put this in, and you got to put it in with the bolt holes going horizontally. So it's going to go in there. You didn't see any of that. So I got to put the camera down here somewhere. I don't know if you're going to be able to see any of this or not. I should have brought a magnet to mount this in, but I just got to shove that in the bore. So I moved the grader today. I got to go 3/4 a road that I built. Oh gosh, it's been 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, I guess. All right, so now, not only do you have to get it in there, but there's dowel pins that have to line up. So that's going to be the sucky part. So it looks like about there. Might be able to get my finger up in here and fill the hole in the pin. I don't know, can't see it. Can't feel it, can't see it. Just got to get it in there. Might have to figure out how to rotate it. So she fits tight like tiger. I really need some help. And that's not working either. What I could do is put the nut, I'd have to take tape off, put the nut on, and then get between here to press it. Press on it, pry it. All right, so I got it in. I knew I'd have to do this. Took tape off, put the nut on, and I got it started. And I took a pry bar and that long bolt and put the bolt up against the retainer and the pry bar against the nut. And Jake showed up, and I had him hold one side with the hammer while I got it in. Anyway, we had to put some long bolts in it and rotate it, because you got to have those 2 3/8 holes right there and right there horizontal, and then it went bloop right in. So that's done. So the next thing to do is get the sprocket cleaned up, and this groove, this is where the other seal goes in. That's all got to be really clean, and it's bent here, so I got to straighten that up and then get it all cleaned up inside and out, and then go ahead and get it on there, push it on as far as I can so it closes the gap in the seal, and then start getting my tooling on and get it pushed back on. So I'm going to kick its ass today, one way or the other. Jeff will win. Okay, this is the duocone seal, and you use alcohol as a lubricant to put it together. Woo, alcohol. That's called for alcohol. Go ahead, make my day. I don't have the tool to put this in, so I'll probably use the Andrew Camerata method. Seems to work for him. If I wasn't so damn cheap, I'd just buy the $500 tool. As much as I'm going to use it, you know. See, so the alcohol's ready evaporated. It doesn't want to go in. Need something blunt to push on it.
Putting it on backwards. Yeah. See the bolt heads? That was stupid. Why would you freaking do that? Pull it off. Carefully. Pull it out. Yeah, just pull it up. Okay, we're gonna have to I think there's supposed to be a max set anyway. Wait.
What's that window to?
I don't know. Do we even need it? Out of the other sill box and use the finger, can't wait alone. Can you take your equalizer and do that and make sure there's no chunks of crap on it for dust? Good way. Look at that other sealed face.
All right, so you saw that major boo-boo. What a couple dumbasses. We put that on, tried to put it on backwards. Stupid. So this is the tool that screws onto the hub threads, and this is the piece I had made to screw in there. But there was a little bit of miscommunication. The machine I talked to sent it to another machinist, and he made it this same diameter as this one, and that won't go through this hole. And it's got to go through the hole. So Jake's going to take it down, put this in the chuck, and cut this down. It probably needs to go down about where that is in the threads. And so this piece is going to screw into that. This piece goes on the ram, goes in here like this, and then you pin it through there. This piece goes over that one, that's going to push on it, and then you put a big plate over this, and then go from that plate to the very end of the ram, so the rod stays put and the body of the ram does that and pushes the sprocket on. Anyway, when we get going with it, I'll show you how it works. Piece of cake. Okay, don't you think you ought to have put that end in against the ram and hold it so it's in the slot, and then I'll I would stand there. So that's, good Lord, I put a lot of tonnage to that. Let me shut the truck off for a minute. You're gonna just take the Sledge-O-Matic, you got your earbuds in. I'll whack it and I'll watch the gauge, see what it does or doesn't do. Scary Gary.
Toward the hub or just on the sprocket?
Just sprocket, I think. Ooh, that went down. Yeah, it went down again. Yep. Come hit it on this side. Come hit it over here once. It went down. Good Lord, what is that? Probably 500,000 psi. Okay. I don't know how tight we want to put it on, because if I take it off, I'll be going, God dang it. There is a dimension in there that you measure from, I think maybe the end of the splines to the sprocket, but we'd have to pull that stuff off to get to it, to measure it.
Well, I think the book, if I remember right, it was like half the tonnage to press it on and then press it off, so I think you're fine.
What does the gauge say? Can you read that? Because it's, I guess it's the outside, the red stuff. So the gauge originally was clear up there at here. Whatever that is.
You're a little over 7,000.
70 ton. I think it.
You get into the red.
I think the book only says, what is it? 45 ton.
That's about 9,000 psi.
Should I call Deanie and ask him? It's probably good, isn't it? Dean would know. I should have called him first. All right, so we got it pushed on, and so the old G book says 35 to 40 ton, but then the H book says 90. So that's about what I had it on, and then Jake whacked it with a hammer. So there's a distance you measure in there from the end of the hub to the hub on the sprocket, and we're within 2,000ths of spec, so I'm going to call that good. So now I got to clean all this mess up, put all this back in the van trailer. So I got to go run the grader tomorrow. So Jake is going to weld out those cups. There's two of them in there. There's one here and there's one on the other side. And then when I get home tomorrow night, I'll put the bearings in. So tonight I'm going to take the cups and put them in the freezer, and I'll get that all cleaned up and then heat it up, and hopefully they'll just drop in, and then I can put the duocone in there and on the sprocket hub, and then put it together, seal it up, and the final drive is fixed and done. So I wanted to show you these duocone seals. So these rubber deals go in here. Anyway, these seals run like that, metal to metal, and they work. It's quite an ingenious idea Cat had. They had a lot of really smart people back in the day to come up with that. Anyway, I struggled and struggled trying to get those in, but I haven't done it for so long. And when I realized that rubber only goes in till it's flush, you don't push it any farther. That way, when the two seals come together, there's lots of pressure on them from the rubber. I just used some window cleaner. Dean says he uses Windex, so I just used some foaming windshield cleaner and put them in there. So you don't want to use oil or WD-40 or anything like that, because you don't want these to turn in there, because there's quite a bit of pressure on them. So anyway, I don't work on final drives enough to remember everything, so I got to call Dean, because he's such a wealth of information. Anyway, I hope not to do any more finals for a long time, although I'm afraid the H on the left side, I think the pinion seal's leaking, but I won't have to pull the final to do that. I'll have to pull the pinion flange inside, take steering clutch out, and they use duocone seals in there too, because I think that final's over full, and that's usually an indication of a bad seal. Anyway, thank goodness it's together, done. Now, like I said, all I got to do is put the retainer nut on and the outboard bearing, close it up, and it's weatherproof. So I had a lot of guys asking about that, putting WD-40, and I didn't put any lube on the sprocket. You put it together dry. Those don't get rusty in there because of the way a 9 is built, you got a set of seals on the inside between the final drive ham cover and the sprocket, and then you got another set out here where the outboard bearings are to support all that. And so what it does is it pumps oil out the end of that shaft and forces it through those two bearings, so you've got to have a seal there, and that's why they do that. Some of the smaller ones don't have that. Anyway, the only other modification we had to make to our tooling is Jake had to go down on the lathe and cut this down so that it would fit between, well, through this hole in the pusher tool and that big flat plate that goes over that. So Jake's not only a good welder, he's a machinist. Anyway, we're looking in the trailer for a tool to go in there to do this, and we saw that, and it's like wham bam, that's exactly what we need. And it has the slot in it to put the pin through. So this piece here goes in there, and then the ram end goes in, and it has that piece that goes in there, and then you just, through this slot, you drop the pin in. And then the ram is pushing against this, up against that big heavy plate and that big gray colored piece, tan color, and it's pulling on the piece that's screwed on, and this is just up against the ram head, and so that's what pushes against that. Anyway, I've discovered that I got everything I need, and I would have never been able to put this on if it wasn't for this piece, that piece, and that big pusher plate. And those are all the tools that Steve Gerber sent me. So a lot of dollars and money there. So I want to thank Steve for that. You've been very generous to me, along with Dean. A lot of good people in Wyoming. So anyway, I'll bring you back tomorrow evening when I get those bearings in and get the rest of this on. Then I got to get out an impact and take all those bolts out and change those segments. And once those are changed, we'll be ready to put the track frame on once I finish getting the guards bolted down and welded on. So I just got to clean up some of my mess, and I'm done for the day. The wind changed directions and it's blowing out of the north. Man, it got cold. Really cold. Come in. Come. Okay, Mr. Griffey's got a greasy streak down his back because Mama put some flea and tick getter on him. Because he's been scratching pretty bad. Especially right there. Hi, buddy. So the weather has been absolutely horrible. Jake welded out those 2 bearing races for me while I was gone to Nevada, and I just haven't had time to put them in. You can see how rusty it is. It rained and rained and rained, and then, oh, I hate those starlings. Look at that. If I had a gun, I'd get you. Bang. Anyway, it has blown 50 miles an hour for the last 2 days. So yesterday I spent all day long finish blading a road that I'd put 3/4 on, and it was so windy you wouldn't have been able to hear anything. So I don't have this together. Tomorrow I'm going to work on it. Tomorrow's Saturday, so you'll see the rest of this in the next video. There's a Magallian crane out there I got from Nevada. I'm putting together a video of that. Sweet little unit. The winch and counterweight mount are slightly broke off. I didn't notice it, but it's broke all the way through on the horizontal piece that attaches to. The only thing holding that up there are the 2 pieces of bent flat bar that are there to brace it. That's probably why it's there, just to keep it from falling off. Joe, me and Mr. Griffey gonna go back in the house. See, right here we're out of the wind, sort of, but it's just been miserable blowing. Anyway, that's what I've been doing. Blading, grading, and going to Fallon, Nevada. So I got a really cool package here, and I opened it, and it had a giant snake in it. Look at the size of that rope. So that came all the way from New Mexico from Joseph Roybal. And he said, "My name is Joseph Roybal. I have followed your channel for 6 or 7 years and have enjoyed the highs and lows. I am a retired water well contractor and find your struggles and victories very similar to mine. Shutting down my company involved distributing, selling, or giving away quite a bit of equipment. One item that has served me greatly is the rope that you now have. If you hook a D9 to a stuck drilling rig and start pulling, the rope will neck down to 1.5 inches, and 9 times out of 10, whatever is tied to it will come out. Watching you assemble the Rosa Master injection pump and struggle to clean the excess adhesive inside the pump reminded me of some Q-tips that I came across several years ago. A package is included. Keep up the good work." So anyway, gonna make sure to send you a hat, Joseph. He sent me a big old bag of these. Industrial strength swab assortment. So I don't really know what to say, Joseph, other than thank you very much. That's gonna come in really handy. I can't tell you how many times I've needed something like that, so I really appreciate you sending that to me. That's just totally awesome. Like I say, we get more done when we work together. And here's a guy, Thompson Water Wells, Joseph Roybal, who has really stepped up and paid it forward. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that, Joe. Thank you very, very much.
It takes a special breed to be a truck driving man and a steady hand to pull that load behind.